right, now is the season of defections and carpet crossing in Nigerian political space, a phenomenon that precedes every election year.
Indeed, and the ruling All Progressives Congress has been feeling the heat after a chunk of senators, members of the House of Reps, and some governors dumped the party for other opposition parties, mainly the People's Democratic Party. But the jubilation of the PDP might soon be short-lived, as the handwriting on the wall suggests that a key stakeholder of the party, that's the Senate Minority Leader Godswill Akpabio, is set to dump the PDP for the APC.
But the questions Nigerians are asking are, one of them, of course, in whose interest are these moves being made? On the side of the politicians or Nigerians? We still have Dr. John with us, his leadership and communication strategist, but with him right here to discuss this issue with us is the Executive Director, Committee for the Protection of People's Mandate, Nelson Ekujumi. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
All right, first off, that question, in whose interest really are these defections?
Well, every discerning mind can read, the handwriting on the wall, that what is happening is majorly about self-survival. What they are, you want to ask yourself, when they have been in the other party before they come now, in what way has their activities profited Nigerians? Has it been about the people or about self? And what they are doing now, it's more about self than the collective interest of the Nigerian people.
So if we agree that that is really what it's all about, what then do we do as a society? Do we need to begin to tweak the electoral laws again? Do we need to look at the Constitution? What do we do, Dr. John, so that that's not to say that you can actually end defections and all of that, but to minimize it to the barest minimum, if you like.
The first thing we should do is telling the people to taking the game of knowledge to the people, because all this, the process of having leadership politically begins with election. If you elect credible people, there's all possibilities that they are going to think of the society more than they think of themselves. And once you're thinking about the society, the interests of the nation reigns supreme in your heart. At that point in time, it doesn't matter whether you are in the opposition or you are in the ruling party. Most often, political parties in Nigeria have often helped their candidate win election more than the credibility of the candidate. That's why everybody wants to run under a political party. If we are talking about credibility, and you are sure that no matter what political party you're flagging, that you are going to win election, that you are credible to that point, then you will not be bothered whether you are in PDP or in APC. Unfortunately, too, the people are used to looking at the direction of big names of political parties than looking at the credibility and the integrity of the people. During the weekend I was talking about political crowd. One of the reasons why politicians continue to rent crowd is because they want to continue to make statements in the heart of the people that their parties are relevant. But it's going to get to a point that people must see beyond just the crowd and the name of a political party. I have a friend of mine who has the political jersey of all the major political parties in Nigeria. And the sign-on
called Ajib, any government in power.
And the sign-on fee is just 2,000 naira. If you give him 2,000 naira, he's going to rally for your party.
Really?
And tomorrow, if you give him he's going to rally for another party. So it begins with us having an understanding that we actually need a working nation, and we can't have a working nation until we have credible leadership. And it begins from the election.
So Nelson, it seems
process.
that politics of poverty is playing a major role here, because the politicians understand the need to always stay relevant and be able, and they know that they can get votes cheaply. Is that why they still do it?
Yes, they still do it, and it's because of the level of ignorance and poverty in the society. It's rather unfortunate that we have gotten to the stage today that our people are no more fixated on what life has for me. For a lot of our people today, life has no meaning, because you can't explain why somebody would, on election day, be ready to mortgage a 4-year mandate for a paltry sum of money. So it's rather unfortunate, but that does not mean we should fold up our hands and give up. Rather, we should continuously engage the people, continuously educate them. You talked about rejigging the laws. Even if we rejig the laws, one basic fact we must understand is that the right of association
You cannot
is sacrosanct.
But then who even rejects the law? These are the people that are representing Nigerians, and they are the ones moving from one party to another.
Yes, I said even if we are going to reject the law, we must always be conscious of the fact that the right to associate is a natural right, is a fundamental right under our law. But like he has rightly said, I think we really need to educate the people. Also, we must engage the parties such that the parties will become very viable. It will not be a situation, because severally we have seen a situation whereby when a candidate fails to get nomination for Party A, he moves to Party B. And we have also seen situations whereby some of these political parties, apart from these big names, I was, talking with the secretary of one of the other parties one of the days.
Yeah.
And he said when the time for submission of names gets closer to INEC, that what they do is to hold on and wait for the people who agree from other parties to come and take their flag for, for whatever exchange will take place. So it tells you clearly that, our electoral system or our democracy is gradually becoming a cash and carry thing, a see for chef and poaches.
We had a presidential candidate here, in the past week, and he talked about the weaponization of poverty, that politicians have come to see or realize that poverty is a weapon in their hands that they will use over and over and over and over again. Well, let's even come to this other, thorny issue, the danger of political parties revolving around individuals and godfathers, and not necessarily, when we keep saying, these parties don't have ideologies and all of that, it's like we're beating a dead horse. It's a rhetoric that we've heard over and over again. Yes, indeed, it's not about ideologies, but it's all about individuals, godfathers, and all of that. If this person says this is where I belong, everybody just crowds behind him and follows. How do we extricate the political parties from individuals and take it back to the people as it always used to be, in the Second, Third Republic?
As we are now, I think the people are actually in the pocket of politicians. The majority of the people, and these are the people who go out to vote. Many of those people who are not in the pocket of politicians are merely watching TV on the day of election. But the people that go, because this is how it plays out. A professional politician understands 4 points. The first one is what we've talked about. They play politics of poverty, and political party supports it. The second politics they play is politics of divisibility, ethnicity. They continue to play this sentiment up.
Yeah.
The third one is politics of experience. They continue to tell you that, oh, I have been this before, I have been this before, therefore I am entitled to be this. Unfortunately,
that's why they take about
yes,
the National
unfortunately,
Assembly.
21st century does not support much of an experience. I have worked with multinationals, and at the point of recruiting, they ask you, there was a particular man that came and was saying, I've done this, and they said, no, we need innovation more than experience. So these are some of the things that politicians use. Unfortunately, because the aim of a party or the political party is to win election at all costs, not necessarily to develop the Nigerian people. So they will grab any politician that is going to lead them to election who can bring in money, because they understand also that the reason why people are taking their PVC and a lot of people are running to INEC to get their PVC is not only to elect credible people, it's also to have a pot of soup on the day of election. So they continue to play out some of these things. So we may not be able to totally separate it and play the politics of ideology as it is. I wanted to register a party with some of my few friends in 2016,
yes,
with the support of some people that I've met. And when I got there, I discovered that it's still going to go back to what I am criticizing. Which is individual owning a party. For me to get this thing at INEC is about 1 million naira. So I have to do fine bara before I get some of this money and get an office in Abuja.
Fine bara for the benefit of our viewers is begging.
It's begging. So I have to do that. So it will still go back to the same old way. But again,
so it just continues the vicious
just
circle.
Continue like that until we have a leader who is ready to destroy the system that makes him. And that is what...
And is that even possible?
It is possible. Of course, that's the hallmark of leadership. The hallmark of leadership is actually putting the interests of the society, no matter what. I have always said this thing, that it's going to be difficult for any man that has a second-time ambition to develop Nigeria in the recess of it. Now, as it is now, why the president is slowing down and pampering some of these thieves who are moving from one party to the APC, and we are just looking at them, is because of the next election.
So in essence, it's still about self-interest.
It's about having one leader that will be bold enough, will be courageous enough, we have the character to break the system that brings in him so that we can break forth.
Listen, we've been talking about all of this, and not just today, we've been talking since the Gale of Defection started, simply because we still don't recognize independent candidacy. It seems that alone will solve all these problems.
No, I don't believe so.
Why?
There's no one solution to a societal problems. You know, like we say, there are so many entrances to a market. So even if we have independent candidacy, it will also come up with its own problems that we also need to be looking for other ways out.
But there won't be any form of defection, because will you defect from yourself to another body?
Oh, but what do you do about a situation whereby the electorate have become money for hand, cash for votes? What do you do about that? So it's not about it's about, you talked about the ideologies of the political parties.
Yeah.
And for me, sometimes I'm worried when people say political parties don't have ideology. I ask, who makes up a political party? Within the individual, do we even have ideology? What is the ideology that guides us in joining a political party?
Is that where we need to get it right? When the Nigerian people say, this is what we want, this is the minimum, this is what we require from governance.
Yes, we need to regenerate our moral values. There was a time in this country, this same country, that if you are even alleged to be involved, and just an allegation, ordinarily the society will ostracize you. The ostracization can even lead to your premature death, and it will affect your generations. But we have gotten to a state today that when even somebody is caught and is paraded for stealing, they will say, is he the first person? What about other people's children? So we need to look at our values. That do we want to continue on this path? Whether it is independent candidacy, whether it's a political party, what are the values we bring into our gathering, into our public sphere? Am I a person that will say, oh, this person, this way we are going, will tarnish the image that my parents...
So in other words, what we're seeing now, both in politics and governance, if there's any at all, is a reflection of who we are, and what we have come to accept as a people.
Yeah, as a people, that's the fact. That's the basic fact.
So in essence...
We have become a society that the former chief of army staff under former dictator Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, Lieutenant General Saidu Ibrahim said, the army became an army of anything goes. We have become a society that we don't know when to say, no, this is not acceptable in this climate.
Okay, Doctor, from what he just said, in essence, we can please simply say that the people share part of the blame as well?
Yeah.
Of course, the people. You know, you can't have leadership without having followership. And I once said that the problem of bad leadership is a problem of today. The problem of bad followership is the problem of today and tomorrow. Because either we like it or not, once you continue to train bad followership, they are going to have effect on the system today and also further destroy the system tomorrow. But again, we have so much relied on leadership in this part of the world. And that will have been a plus for us. We so much rely on leadership. We do not think that we have responsibility as followership. That will have been a plus. Because if you get to religious houses, for example, because the only institution that the people tend to believe as we speak now is their religious house. They don't even believe the government because over time maybe they've been disappointed, because the concept of government is the concept of God. The concept of God is doing for the people what they cannot do for themselves. The concept of government is to do for the citizens what they cannot do for themselves. But because the government has seemingly failed, people run to God for even unnecessary things. So now this is where I'm going to. If we can learn from the religious houses, what is making the people, institution, still have faith in them, is because to a certain extent they still have hope that these things are going to work. But do they have hope in their government? So it will have been,
even though that in itself is eroding gradually.
Of course it is.
So what happens if
gradually,
at the end of the day the people lose faith in the religious organizations and lose faith in
then
government? What kind of society are we looking at?
The society will definitely collapse.
But then again, a public analyst, I was listening to a gentleman yesterday. He's actually running for governorship of Delta State. I won't name him. He actually says that this is a good thing for our politics and our democracy. That, like they say, at the end of the day, water will find its level. that all we are seeing now, this chaotic situation, will, at the end of the day, turn out to bring about orderliness where everyone will know exactly where they belong. And this whole concept of ideology and what have you, gradually, I mean, we've heard the chairman of the APC, Oshomole, say all those that are living now, they are living because it is no longer business as usual. That the sharing, you know, share the money and all of that is no longer the order of the day. And so gradually we will come to a point where it will be clear who the APC is or what the APC stands for, what the PDP, the Labour Party and the rest of them, what they really stand for. So should we look at the good side? Is there any good side at all to this? Do you see that?
Well, I think first and foremost, I want to disagree with him about people running to religion.
Okay.
It's what we call escapism. It's not that they believe in God. They are just looking for shortcuts.
And when the government fails,
but even if the government fails, there are ways to change your situation. If you have been so poverty-stricken, definitely you know one of the ways to wealth or one of the ways to prosperity is for you to get education or get skills that will fetch you your daily
But those
bread.
that are educated in Nigeria, have they been gainfully
Even
employed?
if they have not been gainfully employed, if you have gotten quality education, that is if you have been trained and you have retrained yourself. It's not about being. It's not about.
How do you get that when we have agreed that poverty is a weapon in the hands of politics? They don't want to educate you. They don't want to give you good health and all of that.
Yes. My father never held any political appointments or public office till he passed on.
Yes.
But my father realized the importance of education. And that is why I'm here where I am today. So it is the individual level. Like we have said, if the leadership has failed, how about we in the families? Because when we talk about even leadership, do our leaders emerge from heaven or they come from our families?
From us.
Are they not members of our
civil
society?
servants, civil servants that are earning 18,000 naira per month and were earning even lesser than that before 2011. So how would some of them be able to put their children through higher institutions? Especially, just imagine how expensive education has become today in Nigeria. So how would a civil servant earning that amount be able to do it?
Well, if a civil servant is working and he or she is married, I expect, like, you know, both ends, you know, when you unify yourself, the wife, to be able to address some of those challenges that can take you out of poverty. I wouldn't expect myself, as a married man now, to now turn my wife into a baby-making factory.
And that is why, it is expected that every government, you know, needs to do something for education. Because for any society to grow, we need to understand that security.
Okay, you know what, gentlemen, we are gradually deviating from the issue. But then again, these are very fundamental issues. Because it looks like whether we're talking about the way our politics is being played now, our democracy is being played.
It trickles down to different sectors.
Yes, you know, there is a foundation. And that foundation is what we're trying to explore. But now again, there is another dimension. I mean, it's a new week. We're hearing that defections will happen more. I mean, names like Akpabio and the rest of them.
It's going to persist till 2019.
And now we're hearing that the legal angle may have failed, and now there's a possibility that cash will change hands to ensure that people who have defected to another party lose their position.
So many allegations. Really.
So all kinds of allegations.
What do you mean by the legal angle has failed?
That's what some experts are saying. That is what it looks like. That the instrumentality of the law in removing a politician, say a Senate president,
somehow backs them to defect.
Yes.
Well, maybe because we don't have those strong institutions to enforce what the law says. Because I remember vividly well in the case of one Abegunde in Ondo State, that's Akure South.
Yes.
You know, he defected from was it the Labour Party to the APC?
Yes.
And the Supreme Court declared his seat vacant. So, if we have a similar scenario replaying itself, we should approach the law courts.
But we need to understand that once there is crisis within a political party, a member can defect.
Yes.
And that was why the speaker then in 2014, Aminu Tambuwal, was not impeached.
Well, if Aminu Tambuwal
was
not impeached in 2014 because he defected from a party that didn't have crisis, that does not mean if we have failed in the performance of our responsibility that when we see another wrong, we'll now continue to go that same old
A precedent has been set.
No, the
president,
president, but the Supreme Court judgment is also a precedent. Don't forget, it's also a law.
Okay, let's narrow it down to the issue of the Senate president, for example.
Okay.
Within the Senate, is there any law that says that the Senate president must come from the ruling party? Because that is the argument some people are putting forward.
I really doubt, but we are talking about majority.
Yes.
If a political party has the majority in the House, which has happened over time,
yes,
most often that's the party that has produced the president. And that has been what we have experienced in the last few years of democracy. But that is not even, my challenge is this. How long are we continue to, because defection, like he said, defection will continue until God knows when. But how long are we going to continue like this and allow the business of government to suffer? If the concentration of the entire allegedly now is how to remove Saraki, and we have pertinent issues in our hand, and we are not talking about them, then I have issues. Politicians, we need to reestablish this again, that most of the defections that are happening are not a product of genuine interest for the nation. It's because people want to stay relevant, people want to achieve their ambition, and people want at least to always stay up there.
Yeah.
And once they get the ladder crushed, they know they are nothing. And this is why this is a little bit very big. Everybody is talking about Saraki today, not because he's a senator, ordinarily. It's because he's the Senate president. Will he allow that seat to be taken off this thing from him? That's the question. And also on the other side, they are not sleeping. APC is not sleeping. This is entirely different from what happened in 2015. 2015, lack of experience played out on the part of PDP. Yeah. They weren't expecting. But these people saw what happened in 2015. So they are set now. And they are targeting the South-South and the Southeast. So they are going all out to the South-South to make sure that if they take war to the gate of their enemies, their political enemies.
It seems to be like a game of chess now.
Yes,
and there also seems to be a very simple solution to all of this, because the people that are affected the most are the citizens, and what they simply need to do, as being campaigned right now, is for them to just get the PVC, and then the armchair voters that are always active online should just go out there on election day and vote. Because these politicians have been speaking boldly that they know they would win, even the political parties, but then at the end of the day, it all depends on who the people vote for.
You know, Azizat, I think when people talk about poverty and when we read it in the dictionary, we do not get the real definition of poverty. And I have seen it in the real sense of it. I told you the other time that I have an appointment with a boy who was supposed to come see me in the house. And on the dot of 4 o'clock, I drove out. And the guy came at past 5, a secondary school student in Lagos. And I was saying, I told you should come and meet me at 4 o'clock. He said, we don't have a clock in our household. They don't have clock, they don't have phone, they don't have anything. If the parent of this boy gets out on election day and we have told her that, oh, this is the person, or perhaps she even knows that this is the person she's going to vote for, and somebody tempt her with 5,000, like the way they tempted people in Ondo State, they tempted people in Ekiti State, they have been tempting people. Will you say that woman will leave the 5,000 naira and walk back home?
Are you not saying there's no hope?
The only hope we have, the only hope we have is for government to show to the people that when you vote for the right people, that there's dividend.
In addition to that, I may not want to say that it's the only hope. Is it possible that we say that politics should not be a full-time vocation anymore in Nigeria? Well, so that it is not a do-or-die affair, it's not a winner-takes-all, it's not, you know?
No, it will not be a do-or-die affair if we are very serious as individuals, as institutions of government, to enforce the law. Because the laws are very clear. No part of the electoral law gives you the right to kill to get to office. If you violate the right of a Nigerian to leave, you have violated the Constitution, and there are penalties there. So the thing there is for us to engage our people. You were talking about PVC. At the last Ekiti-Guba poll, I was there. About 2 weeks to the election, you had this news that people were going somewhere to submit their PVC to collect money. So who will you blame there? So because of poverty. So I tell people, the Bible, you see, I'm a good student of the Bible. It was one of my best subjects when I was in secondary school. Yeah. When Jesus was taken to the mountain, and you know, by Satan, after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, he said, man shall not live by bread alone. I ask, all this my struggle, today? Is it because of what?
Is it just about the stomach?
Is it about the stomach for today? No way. So people must be prepared to make sacrifices. People must be prepared to persevere. Where we are today, all the strides we have made as human beings is because some people somewhere, abdicated their rights to sleep, to luxury, and what have you. So what role are we, or am I as an individual? What will be my contribution to humanity? Is it just to come and eat and drink?
That's a fundamental question that we need to ask ourselves.
Indeed.
Will it be about humanity? Will it be about posterity? Or are we just interested in the now? You know, okay, we'll have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. John, and of course, Nelson Ekujimi. Hope to see you again sooner than later.
Thank you for coming, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you very much.